So let's talk about the Belle Collective. I've been wanting to do reviews on TV shows for a while, and I'm just now getting to it. And I think this is befitting because the newest Belle on the Belle Collective is Mrs. Carrie Paul, who is from the Mississippi Gulf Coast, which is where I'm from. And she is an acquaintance of mine. I've known her for over 10 years. We're not best friends or anything like that, but she is someone who has been doing her thing down there on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. She's a entrepreneur, restaurateur, and she has a husband, 3 children, and she's just really living the life of a successful entrepreneur and woman who many admire, and I admire myself because she is just doing a fantastic job. She's my sorority sister. I'm a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, so I'm really proud to see her representing the Mississippi Gulf Coast on the new season of the Belle Collective, which I've been watching that TV show for a while. Now, we start off with Dr. Marie Monroe, as she likes to be called, and she's giving her perspective on as she's driving up to Latrice's goddess lens and is talking about how she needs her edge control. And she goes into, I guess, this like salon type area that has product from Latrice, and her and Latrice talk about how they've been through it, and they're on the basically there to together because they want to support each other, and they're on the right path. So that was interesting because we know the fights that Latrice and Marie Monroe have been through. And it's great to see them, basically coming together and trying to not rekindle, but start anew in terms of their friendship, because we know how rough it was in the very beginning with the first episode of season 1. Now she comes in with this bodysuit, is looking good. Latrice looks good in her houndstooth, which I love. Marie starts talking about how she rekindled her relationship with her ex-husband Cedric, who we saw in the early seasons, and how she's actually dating someone else too. So that was interesting to see that, and that plays out later on in the actual episode. Now she talks about how Dr. Marie Monroe, how she's having a birthday, and this birthday party she invites Latrice to, but Latrice can't make it because she has an event at that time and won't be able to make it. Now we see this scene with Letitia and Glenn. They all happy, giddy with each other. They start having this session where she's going to give him a massage. She has rose petals down. They talk about how, they love each other so much. And, Letitia says how she loves being flirty with him and doesn't know what it is. And Glenn is like, yeah, I love it. It's cute and all this kind of stuff. So, she mentions about Carrie Paul and Matt Paul, who are coming up to Dr. Marie Monroe's birthday party. And so that is mentioned, that she can't wait to see them and have her meet some of the other Belles. Now, Marie ends up going to Cedric's house, and then what ends up happening after that is they kind of give each other a kiss. They come in with a young lady who I believe is their daughter, and maybe it's her granddaughter. I didn't catch all that, but she talks about how they were, he was traveling so much. That's kind of what drove a wedge in their relationship. And then, but now he's in a position where, he lost some family members. I believe she said his brother and father, and that's what brought them closer together. Now, Selena was in a bad car accident, and her being in this bad car accident just really, really set the tone for kind of the place that she's in right now. She wasn't able to continue her work with Taste. She was going to be working, I forgot what position exactly, but with Latrice at her Latrice and Cliff's restaurant that's called Taste. And the car accident left her with having seizures, but now she's doing better. She did lose her dogs. I'm not sure how she lost her dogs exactly, but she did mention that one of her dogs was her son's dog, who unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago. And now she's having an issue with her fiance, Mike, because he just brought a new truck. I guess he's a truck driver, and he didn't inform her about it. And they're in the midst of planning a wedding, and you got to communicate. That's basically what she's saying. You got to communicate with me. Let me know what's going on. And that was something that basically is an issue for them, a concern, and she doesn't want that to filter into their marriage. Her big word is communication, and that is the word that you'll hear a lot throughout, I'm sure, the rest of this season. Now, Latrice says Taste is the talk of the town. It has good reviews. She has some concern because Cliff is staying back at the condos that they're looking to build on top of a Taste. Now, I guess there's one suite that's ready, and he's been staying there, I guess, periodically, and she's concerned because there's women coming in and out in terms of the restaurant, and she's concerned about that. I'm getting a trust issue that they're having, that is probably going to be a thorn in their side for the rest of the season. Now, she has a friend, Amanda, that comes in. She's been friends with her forever, and Amanda comes in and talks about her relationship. She was married to a woman and how they're no longer together because of issues that they had in their marriage. And Cliff is like, well, did you, you gonna get with a cat or a dog? And she's like, well, basically whoever can take care of me. That's basically what she says. Now, Cedric ends up coming to the birthday party. Now, at the birthday party, he's walking around greeting people. And you know, Dr. Marie Monroe didn't expect him to be there at all, because he basically mentioned early on in the episode that he may not be able to make it. Now, she didn't really give up a fight or a fuss about it, so I'm not sure what that was about, especially if y'all are back to dating or seeing each other again and, you know, he's not there. Or not going to possibly make it, but he's there. Then other people come in. Selena shows up next. She's talking about how Mike is talking about he's going to Texas. He didn't tell her about it. Communication issues. Tamra comes in and talks about she's been booked and busy basically with her child, right, and her job. And then Letitia and Glenn show up next. You know, Selena starts talking to her about how they need to get together because of the issue she's having now with Mike, and communication, right? I said communication was the key word. Now, Martin comes in next, and when Martin comes in, he, you know, Letitia and Glenn are like, hey, we know him, because they had basically a couples night with Dr. Marie Monroe one day, and so they were aware of who Martin was, so they were kind of surprised Martin was there and Cedric's there, right? They looking like, And so what happened after that, Carrie pops up, and Carrie, like I mentioned, is from the Mississippi Gulf Coast. She comes in, she's a breath of fresh air. She's with Matt, her husband. They get introduced basically, and she talks about where she's from, her family, talks about the Mississippi Gulf Coast. That is great. Then after that, Martin comes up and introduces himself to Cedric, and it's kind of like, ooh, Cedric seems like he doesn't know who he is. So after that, it's kind of like just everything is up for grabs in terms of, you know, trying to figure out you know, does Cedric know? Does Martin know what's going on? And so Marie Monroe comes and she's like, hey, you know, she didn't expect Cedric to be there, but he's there, and she has a little fun. She has, at one point, she's holding Cedric's hand and holding Martin's hand, and they having a good old time, right? Now, in the midst of all that, Carrie ends up having a conversation with Letitia. It's like, hey, what's going on? You know, they have a conversation with Martin, and Martin's like, hey, I had kids that were here in the U.S. and they not here now. And then my wife, and Carrie's like, your wife? And then she's like trying to figure out in her confessions, like, how is Marie Monroe with him? Because he's abysmal. That is the word that she used, and I loved it, because I thought it was a great word to kind of explain, you know, who you would picture Marie being with in terms of if she wasn't with Cedric. Now, what ends up happening is Letitia and Carrie end up talking to Marie Monroe, and, you know, Carrie's making her little comments, you know, nothing too crazy or anything like that. But then Marie Monroe is like, who is this lady? I don't know her. And of course, I just to kind of let you guys know, Carrie is going to make a scene. You know, she's Miss Carrie, baby, right? So she's going to make a scene in the sense of you knowing that she's there, and she's, you know, someone to be reckoned with in terms of her ability to kind of light up the room. So I'm sure, you know, they'll have more conversations, as we saw in future clips that will be happening on the show. Now, after that, they get to the next, I guess a couple of days later, Latrice shows up to Amanda's salon, starts getting her hair done. Tambra comes in, tells them what happened at the party. And then Amanda, out the blue, just says, hey, Glenn slid in my DMs. And then she has the nerve to say that, hey, you know, look at me and then look at her, basically. And she entertained Glenn. So that's going to be a cause of dissension between Latrice and Letitia, because they're friends, and then she's friends with Amanda, so it's just going to be a whole big thing. And Latrice was basically like, I don't know what to do. I'm in the middle. So this is, I think, going to be a great season. Carrie Paul made a great entrance, so I can't wait to see more of her and her family, and just representing us from the Gulf Coast well. So I can't wait to do more reviews on the Belle Collective. If you guys have any questions, put it in the comments. I'll be happy to answer as many questions as I can about, you know, where I'm from, about the things that I'm aware of with Carrie, that the fabulous things that she's doing and that I see on a regular basis. So I think this is going to be a great season. I'll probably be adding some videos to YouTube, so that way I can get some more, I guess you could say, more of a larger population of people watching, and then we'll go from there. So I'll see you guys for episode 2. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.